I love coffee, and so does the entire world.
This is coffee. Coffee.
Cup after cup.
We've been drinking this stuff for hundreds of years, and it's estimated that more than 2.2 billion cups of coffee are consumed every day. This is my third cup, but trust me, there will be more. I'm a sucker for any kind of food-related content on the internet. So when I came across this video about how different countries make their coffee, I was horrified. 4 out of 10 use something in their drink creations that I would never. Instant coffee. But not different types of instant coffee. They're all drinking the same brand, Nescafe. According to its parent company, Nestle, 6,100 cups of Nescafe are consumed every second. Today, it's sold in almost every country in the world, which means that 1 in 7 cups of all coffee consumed is a cup of Nescafe. But here's what I don't understand. In countries where coffee has always been popular, and even in countries where coffee was never popular, they're all drinking Nescafe. Like in India, 1 in 4 cups of coffee is Nescafe. And in the UK, more than 13 million people are loyal drinkers. That's 18% of the population. So how did Nestle develop and market a product that became a global obsession? To answer that question, I obviously had to sample a lot of Nescafe. Maybe if I mix these. Oh yeah. That was the wrong choice. Actually, it's not that bad. The more I learned and tasted, the more I realized Nestle's playbook isn't necessarily unique to coffee, but it is unique, and any brand can do it. So this is the coffee that I make for myself almost every single morning. Sometimes it's a French press, sometimes it's a pour over. The point is I like specialty coffee, and I'm typically using a single origin, light to medium roast coffee bean. But today is a Nescafe day. So I'm gonna just chuck this down the sink. Let's see, how are we gonna make this? 1 teaspoon for every 6 ounces of hot water. 1 teaspoon. Yeah, why not? I may regret that. So this is Nescafé Classico. This is sort of the most iconic product in Nescafé's lineup. But what's really interesting is that this product was actually born out of something completely unrelated to coffee, and also kind of dark. How dark? This is a graph of the child mortality rates in Switzerland in the late 19th century. I told you it was gonna be dark. You can see that for every 1,000 babies born in 1865, there were more than 344 deaths, which was alarmingly high. In fact, child mortality rates were high around the world due to malnutrition. A concerned pharmacist living in Switzerland named Henri Nestle concocted a simple solution. He combined just 3 ingredients, flour, sugar, and milk, to make Nestle's version of infant food, what we know today as baby formula. Nestle didn't technically invent it, but what made his product so revolutionary wasn't just how easy it was to prepare, it was how long it lasted on the shelf. Thanks to tin plate cans, the product stayed fresh even on long transatlantic voyages, and that made it possible to export to more than 18 different countries from a single point of origin, right here in Vevey, Switzerland. So even early on, Nestle was able to establish global distribution channels based on how he engineered his product. And that made the company worth a lot. But imagine if he had started the company today and knew about loop marketing. It's basically a 4-step methodology that 1, helps you express your brand's identity, 2, helps you tailor your message to customers, 3, amplify your reach, and 4, helps you evolve your content and strategy. We put a link in the description box, or you can scan the QR code on your screen to access HubSpot's Loop Marketing Lab, a discovery engine with 100 AI prompts that are optimized for every modern marketing challenge. From creating content that ranks in AI search to building one-to-one personalized experiences. The lab is designed to help you explore and discover growth opportunities for whatever business idea you're passionate about, whether that's coffee or, in Henri Nestle's case, infant food. In 1875, Henri Nestle sold his company to a group of investors for 1 million Swiss francs. 30 years later, in 1905, the new Nestle group joined forces with this condensed milk company and expanded Nestle's factory count to 20 across Europe and the US, forming the basis for the multinational conglomerate we know today. Demand for milk spiked during World War I, so Nestle's factory count quickly grew to 40 by the end of the war. The most important one for our purposes was built in Brazil, the land of coffee. Too much coffee. When the US stock market collapsed in 1929, its effects rippled across the globe. Brazil's economy largely depended on exporting coffee to the US, but with nobody buying, Brazil was left with an overwhelming surplus. So the government
issued a decree barring the planting of coffee trees anywhere in the country.
They also dumped it in the ocean, mixed it with tar, and burned it as fuel for trains.
Nearly 1 billion pounds of coffee have been destroyed by the all-powerful Brazilian Coffee Council in the last 2 years. That's 500 million pounds a year.
Now, the exact amount destroyed varies by source, but it was enough coffee to keep you awake forever. So as you can imagine, the government was desperate to find a solution to its coffee conundrum, and Nestle was already on the ground. In 1929, Brazil approached Nestle to find a way to decrease its enormous surplus by increasing coffee consumption. 7 years and more than 50 million sacks of burned coffee later, a chemist named Max Morgenthaler had finally cracked the code on a water-soluble coffee powder that actually tasted decent. Okay, wait, really quick pause. This is kind of starting to grow on me. Am I an instant coffee drinker now? I'll unpack that later. They called the new product Nescafé and advertised it as coffee without the pot. Nestle was in the process of market testing its new product when World War II broke out. And soon it was fulfilling orders for millions of cases of Nescafé that appeared in the rations of every US soldier. Simultaneously, as a food company still based in Switzerland, Nestle had accepted a contract to feed the German army. Okay, pause again. I want to quickly acknowledge that Nestle has had its fair share of controversies over the years, and in some cases it has been held accountable. While this video is focused more on the business tactics that Nestle used to make Nescafé a worldwide phenomenon, that doesn't mean that it's always made the best decisions as a company. As always, more discussion is welcome in the comments. Culturally speaking, Nestle had it made in the US after World War II. Post-war society valued convenience and expediency, which made instant coffee a household revelation.
That's the beauty of Nescafé. It's so easy to make.
The challenge would be getting markets outside of the US to love it as much as the Americans did. And in some places, like the UK, that was easy enough. For the tea-loving Brits, instant coffee, introduced to them by their American allies, was something new and exciting. In other parts of Europe, Nestle strategically introduced Nescafé by putting it in civilian care packages distributed after the war. And it stuck. But further east, it was a different story. Those same care packages were handed out to civilians in Japan. But as a nation without any cultural context for coffee, Nestle tried and failed to capture the market, until it hired this guy. Allow me to introduce Dr. Clotaire Rapaille, a French child psychologist turned marketing expert who cracked the code for building a relationship between the Japanese consumer and coffee. Instead of trying to replace tea culture with coffee culture, Dr. Rapaille helped Nestle create a coffee imprint on Japanese children by selling coffee-flavored sweets. And as a food company specializing in chocolate, that was right up Nestle's alley. See, Rapaille's theory was that those children would eventually grow up to be adults who would choose to drink Nescafé because they developed an emotional connection to the flavor as kids. And it worked. Today, Japan is Nescafé's 4th largest market, behind, no surprise, the UK. In other Eastern countries like China and India, Nestle tweaked that approach. Instead of imprinting with something totally different like candy, Nestle disguised its Nescafé products as local, while still marketing it as a modern Western drink. For India, it developed Nescafé Sunrise, a 60-40 mix of instant coffee with chicory to make it taste more traditional. For China, it introduced Nescafé as a 3-in-1 product with built-in cream and sugar to make it more palatable. Today, Nestle offers more than 5,000 variations of Nescafé and continues to establish regional factories and even coffee farms like this one in Vietnam. This says that it was made in Brazil, but Nescafé is now sourcing a lot of its coffee globally. And while winning over new coffee drinkers around the world has not been a one-size-fits-all approach, you could say that Nestle's recipe for success is as simple as its original baby formula. Keep it local, keep it youthful, and when in doubt, add sugar. Like, a lot of sugar.
The sugar?
For this one, you do need to add sugar to it.
And when you think about it, making a cup of instant coffee is not that far off from making a cup of hot tea. So it makes sense why traditionally tea drinking cultures have come to embrace it. But what about traditionally coffee drinking cultures? Strangely, Nescafe's #1 market is Mexico, a country that falls on the list of the top 10 coffee producers in the world. With so much homegrown coffee at its fingertips, why is Mexico opting for instant? 2 words: cost and convenience. That's according to a 2014 article by Time magazine. But of course, Nescafé has also created regional products for Mexico too. Other nations you wouldn't expect to love Nescafé: Chile, Sweden, and Greece. Yeah, they even have their own national drinks. So yeah, I think it's safe to say across the board, people love how cheap and convenient it is to make Nescafé. Whereas here in the US, those 2 factors are actually what make it less enticing to some of us, because now our obsession is no longer convenience, it's quality. As is evidenced by the $18 bag of coffee beans I buy every 3 weeks. According to a National Coffee Data and Trends report, 46% of American adults had specialty coffee in the past day. Despite that, the US's Nescafé's 5th largest market. But here's the other problem. We're now spending more money on iced coffee than ever before. And for America's youngest coffee drinkers, iced coffee is typically their first coffee imprint. So you probably know what that means for Nestle. A new product. This is Nescafé's espresso concentrate, and it's meant to serve as a base for iced caffeine drinks. You make it the same way as instant coffee. All you do is add cold water or milk. And the idea is to customize it the way you would any iced coffee drink. Nescafé has also said that it sees an opportunity to make these types of drinks Gen Z's alternative to alcohol, since they're drinking less of it than previous generations. And I suspect that if Nestle can successfully imprint on Gen Z the same way it did in Japan, then we very well could be on the verge of another instant coffee boom. If you're a coffee snob like me, then you probably won't be switching to instant anytime soon, but Nestle's marketing strategies, now those are definitely worth trying. And for another stimulating business case study, check out our video on the fashion brand that does $12 billion a year in sales but refuses to sell clothes online. And don't forget, you can access HubSpot's Loop Marketing Lab by clicking the link in the description. It just needs more sugar.